What is up, everybody? It's your boy Dives, Mr. Crockbutt on Twitter. Our Sixers post-game shows are back. And to help me break it down, guys, is the man, the myth, the legend. Follow him on Twitter at TScabia. Thiago, what's up, man?
The Sixers may want to rip our hearts apart, but we're coming back for more and more and more, man. That's just the way it is. There's no taking us down. We're back and better than ever.
Sure. A lot to kind of unravel here for the Philadelphia 76ers. And I think what are we doing, guys? We're talking about our top takeaways, our initial impressions, and then we're going to give a player of the game, and then we're going to just grade the Sixers' performance here and what it means moving forward. For me personally, it starts with defense. My goodness, the Sixers forced 30 points off turnovers, forced 38 points off turnovers. They forced Dallas to 23 turnovers. And that was really truly the storyline of this game, and the Sixers' ability to just turn defense into offense, fast break points. The Sixers had how many fast break points in this game? 22. Just Doc Rivers has to be smiling ear to ear after this game. Thiago, what's one of your takeaways?
I mean, when you talk about all the numbers you brought up, and I'll even add the three-point shooting from Dallas, which was abysmal. What really stood out for me was just how athletic and how switchable this team looked out on the court. So at one point in time, right, to start the game, they had Joe, Maxey, Springer, Paul Reed, and Petrusev out on the court. All these guys can move around to some extent. They're not particularly, slow. They're not particularly stiff. And it really shows on their ability to make plays in the open court, get out in transition, contest three-point shots from Dallas. I thought that, even when they brought out guys like Aaron Henry on the court, another rookie who, does a lot of wrong things in the court, but super athletic, super agile, makes it really hard for perimeter players to get into the paint and get in their comfort level. So, I mean, it's what you've seen in the Summer League is a lot of, athleticism really kind of stand out, but I think the Sixers have made a really conscious effort to get more athletes on the perimeter that can move around multiple positions and deny triple lanes. And I thought we saw a lot of that tonight with the Sixers.
It's unbelievable considering that Charles Bassey didn't even play tonight, considering how good this defensive Summer League Sixers roster could potentially be. They had the Sixers had 11 blocks and 16 steals in this game, just to kind of emphasize how dominant they were, just reading the passing lanes and creating defense into offense. But really, the storyline of this game is Tyrese Maxey. It is 100% Tyrese Maxey. Just tiers above everyone else, I think, in this game. Everything we saw, especially him defensively, being active on defense. There was so much to love. We talked about when our watch party started what we want to see from Tyrese Maxey, the shot. We want to see him kind of take everything, all those flashes, that mental toughness we saw in that playoff series against Atlanta and translate here to the Summer League. All of that did. But I was actually really impressed with his defense and how active he was. It was the third quarter. The Sixers are up 40 points, and this guy's diving all over the floor and trying to generate steals all over the place. Thiago, what was your take on Tyrese Maxey tonight?
Yeah, there's very few players that usually stand down in Summer League, and Tyrese Maxey's head and shoulders above everybody else on the court. He's one of those guys, when you look at him, he's like, he probably shouldn't be out there anymore because the leap that he's making as a basketball player. I thought that offensively, he could do whatever he wanted on the court. So we talk about like a three-level scorer, right? Ability to get to the rim, finish with both hands. He's got that patent floater in the mid-range that we've seen multiple times during the regular season. And tonight, man, he showed that three-point shooting rate. He showed that he's working on that three-point shot. He had a step-back three, something we rarely saw from him with the Sixers. It was mostly stationary, catch and shoot, doing off the drive. I think the Sixers kind of gave him a green light. They wanted to see him shoot. He kind of took that on himself and was not shy about it. Defensively, high energy, super athletic, loves to get in passing lanes. I will say this, though, defensively, that's an area that I kind of noted down when I was watching him. Something that he has to work in is to harness that energy and athleticism to be a better shot contester at the perimeter. So closeouts, right? He plays with a lot of energy, a lot of emotion, but he tends to close out and give guys driving lanes. That has to kind of creates a kind of shuffle kind of scenario for the Sixers defense. So he's just got to be more balanced. And a guy like Jaden Springer, we'll talk about later, he has a little more of that kind of balance when he closes out. So something has to work out. And I think the coaching staff will make note of that for him moving forward. But I mean, Maxey is head and shoulders their best player, and he probably shouldn't play for the rest of Summer League.
Seriously, man. 21 points tonight. He had 3 steals, 3 turnovers, but they came in that third quarter when it was kind of a sloppy game. Pace kind of went up, and it was just, turnovers all over the place. We have a comment here, Mr. Casper, saying, good to see Maxey, Reed, and Isaiah Joe play well. But I want to talk about Jaden Springer because I think that's like the second name that a lot of people are going to be talking about here. What was your initial impressions of Jaden Springer tonight?
Defensively, right? So he has pretty good pedigree defensively from Tennessee. Very strong player, strong hands, fast hands, moves very well laterally, moves without fouling. And I thought that he showed all of those traits at multiple points during the game. So again, there was one play in transition that the guy came in down the lane. He swiped the ball over with his hands, dove for kind of the loose ball and kind of created a fast break the other way. Like, these are the type of plays that we saw a lot of him at Tennessee. I think defensively, physicality was not overwhelming for him, which is good to see at a kid who's only 18, going to turn 19 at the NBA year. So I thought defensively he was really good. Offensively, I mean, it's going to be a struggle. So off the ball, I mean, you can really see that the shot's going to translate. I mean, he has a very good stroke. At one point in transition, Max kind of hit him with a one-touch pass, and he kind of had no quick trigger, no hesitation, catch and shoot 3. That's the kind of things I think we're going to see a lot from Jaden if he sees the core with the Sixers. And in transition, like when there's kind of chaos, he's able to do some things as a point guard that get you excited. But when things slow down in the half court, man, he just has a long way to go. I mean, you can tell the game is too fast. He doesn't see the court entirely. He's a little bit too slow to connect on some of those passes. And his shot selection, he's still got a lot of that Tennessee blood in him with, the kind of contested shots in the mid-range. Coaches are going to want to coach that out of him over time, but, he's got a long way to go. I would not judge him based off, one game, what the offensive is with Jaden.
Yeah, the shots weren't falling. I mean, there were some turnovers there. He did have 2 blocks. But I do love the fact that we saw 12 field goal attempts. I love the fact that he kept shooting. Even though at one point he was like 1 of 7, and it was a true struggle for Jaden Springer to start. But 2 plays stand out for me with Jaden Springer where he penetrated into the lane. He pump faked and found, I think, Felipe Petrusev there right underneath the basket. And then on the other end, those same kind of situation where he dribbled and penetrated, pump faked, or no, he pulled up and then fouled Petrusev down again for a bucket. So, the shot is a work in progress. His playmaking is a work in progress, but the flashes are absolutely there. And when you play defense, that is 100% something that will clearly translates. The way he moves his feet, the way he can stay in front of his man. He's had several. He only didn't say he had a steal, but there were several chances there where he played great defense and forced the contested shot. So overall, how would you grade Jaden Springer? Like, what's your quick grade for Jaden Springer?
I mean, B-, C+, which is perfectly fine. I mean, the guy's just played his first NBA type game under his belt. So, I mean, we saw that with guys all the time in Summer League. I mean, we'll go back to a guy like Trae Young in Summer League, right? People looked at Trae Young like, oh my God, the Atlanta might have made a huge mistake. And then we saw what Trae Young did 2 years later against the Sixers. So, I mean, I'm not comparing him to Trae Young, but don't be discouraged by the offensive side of his game. And I am very high on him as a spot-up shooter, and I think he's going to have NBA range sooner rather than later, and that's one way for him to get playing time with the Sixers.
Exactly. Benjamin Dew says Springer picking up right where he left off with his bad shot selection and garbage.
Yeah, he's got to cut that shit out.
I know that can't continue. All right, let's move on to kind of the guy who started out super hot, and that's your boy Isaiah Joe. My gosh, he had 14 points in the first quarter. It was really the Tyrese Maxey and Isaiah Joe show to start off this game. They had like 21 of the first 23 points. No one else was hitting shots other than Maxey and Isaiah Joe. He really cooled off there the last few quarters. He finished with 15 points, 4 of 8 from three-point range. His first three-pointer was an absolute beauty. Like it was just a step back rainbow Jermaine Jones type of three that was gorgeous. What was your take on Isaiah Joe?
Yeah, I didn't know he had that in his bag, man. I mean, that was sweet. I mean, he was incredible. It's good for the brand, man. We'll be screaming Isaiah Joe for 2 years now.
Yeah.
And he kind of broke out his style. I noticed that he was a little bit stronger, a little bit more chiseled in his upper body. He's playing a little bit stronger than he had in regular season. So that's really exciting to see because he's just a frail guy, man. He's going to have to fight through screens and contact to get in a shot. And I thought that they did such a great job, like using him off motion, off relocation. A lot of times with Doc Rivers, it was mostly stationary, kind of just wait for your shot. The Sixers had him running off screens, and he showed the ability to pass. So when guys, came at him, to contest the shot, he kind of passed off that gravity. And man, like the guy is that eye knockdown 3-point shooter. When we were screaming for this guy to play last year, he played very little, too little, in my opinion. I think he's ready to play some. The range is there. He was shooting from the logo. This guy could very well be a good bench option this year for the Sixers. And I want to see if Doc Rivers can manage playing Korkmaz and Isaiah Joe and not just one or the other, because that's a lot of firepower in your perimeter, man. If these two guys are hitting shots a ton, and these guys can shoot it from very, very deep. So,
yeah, Isaiah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
So my player of the game, I thought he was. I mean, outside of Maxey, I thought first half in particular, I thought he was phenomenal.
Yeah, especially defensively. I thought he was contesting shots on the perimeter. He's got that huge wingspan. Yeah. There's a lot to like about Isaiah Joe. Let's go on to let's just do player of the game, man. Is Isaiah Joe your player of the game?
Yeah, I'll give him player of the game because I'm biased to Isaiah Joe. Obviously, Maxey was awesome. Man, like you see Isaiah Joe do some of that stuff, relocation shooting from the logo. That's big time, man. That's going to get you big time minutes in the NBA. So I loved what I saw from him. I love the fact, like I said, he's gotten a little bit bigger. And we'll see. I mean, he's going to get a lot of playing time in the summer, and there's no reason why he should get some early burn with the Sixers to start the year.
We can gush about Tyrese Maxey. Tyrone Jackson says Maxey looks like a vet out there. 100%. This guy looked like just head and shoulders better than everybody else on that court today. We already talked about Tyrese Maxey. We talked about Isaiah Joe. One guy I want to quickly give some love to for me is Paul Reed. I thought Paul Reed, especially in that second half, especially defensively, was all over the place on that basketball court. Paul Reed finished with just 9 points, but he had 8 boards, 3 steals, and 4 blocks. And it like that is like an undersell. Like if you look at that box score and you watch the game, like you could double those numbers. That's how much it felt that he was stripping guys, blocking shots, forcing contested shots. He was all over the place. There was like one possession where he had a steal, and like a block. It was, it was absolutely great. Paul Reed, man, when you're playing defense like that and the resume, G League MVP, 44% from 3 last year, that has to definitely open up Doc Rivers' eyes as a stretch 5, as a stretch big in this roster. Any thoughts on Paul Reed?
He was all over the glass, man. He was all over the glass. I think that playing Maxey with Paul Reed is such a benefit for Tyrese, man. For exactly what you said, that floor spacing element. A lot of times Doc Rivers tagged Maxey with Dwight Howard, and just like Ben, like it's not a great fit. And they got Andre Drummond in the roster again this year. So I just hope that Doc can see, and I know he does, it's just a matter of does he trust his young bigs out there that can create more space for Maxey in the court. So playing him with Paul Reed is also beneficial for Maxey as well as Reed. And I mean, the guy, I think, you see like offensively does a lot of interesting things off the bounce. At one point, took the guy off the dribble and just kind of dunked it on his head. So skill big, man. These guys they're fun to watch because they just bring much more to the table than, pick and roll dunking and rim protection. So yeah, he was typical Paul Reed game tonight. I kind of loved what I saw from him as well.
All right, before we get into grading today's performance, Felipe Petrusev. Let's talk briefly on Felipe Petrusev. I want to hear your thoughts. I'm going to give you mine real quick. I was actually pretty impressed with what I saw from Petrusev. Not from an offensive standpoint. I know the shot is there. He didn't really impact the game offensively, but defensively, I thought we're kind of. I was a little bit surprised. 3 blocks. I know he's a pretty decent shot blocker. He was only 1-4 from the field. He did have a steal, but I love the way he moved his feet. I love the way he was, defensively rolling with guys to the basket, keeping his arms up. He seems to have a ton of IQ, discipline. He stayed low to the ground. He didn't draw that many fouls. What was your take on Felipe Petrusev? What was your first impression?
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that kind of rim protection, quite frankly. I was very surprised by the fact that he had a really good feel when to come off his man and attack as a weak side rim protector. I think he did like that 2 or 3 times. It's very impressive. So that part of his game is, it's something perhaps they can work with. I thought that offensive, there's so much more to unlock that as a passer, like out of the high-low. He's going to get some better looks to be able to unlock some offense from the top of the key. He hesitated a little bit with the shot. I think he perhaps doesn't trust it right now. Shooting is a big part of his growth in Europe from Gonzaga. So I want to see a little bit more of that because that's really what's going to get him any type of playing time. Not this year because he's going to be in Europe, but if they ever do decide to buy him out, that's really what they're going to bank on him as a floor spacer. I didn't find them to be completely unswitchable. So he showed a little bit of the ability to move and shuffle his feet on defense, which is, again, has been another required skill, something that Paul Reed can do a little bit of. And exactly. Aaron Henry as well. I thought Aaron Henry, man, like we can talk about him. He didn't do much on offense, but you're starting to see why the Sixers like that guy, man. He made a couple of unbelievable plays. So.
All right. Christopher Stuck says, I love what I saw. I loved how Maxey and him played with Simmons together, which won't happen. So upset. I guess, Tyrese Maxey is showcasing his ability for another team. Who knows?
But here's the thing with Tyrese, and I'll go back to the lineup. I mean, they come out with 3 guards, right? So it's Springer, Joe, and Maxey, 2 forwards who space the court. I mean, you give the guy space, he's going to make that stuff happen. And the Sixers made it very hard on Tyrese Maxey throughout the year between not playing him and then playing with, anchoring with regular bigs. So the playbook is right there for Tyrese to flourish in the NBA. And you've seen how he can do that in summer league. So,
Yeah, Tyrese Maxey had 4 assists and 3 turnovers tonight. Not the best facilitating from Tyrese Maxey in this game, but that's a really tough, ask in a game in kind of the summer league where it's kind of a chaotic brand of basketball. Tiago, how would you grade today's performance?
That means A across the board, man. Dallas by 100 points to start summer league. I mean, this is one of the better summer league teams. I think they're gonna. They're still playing that tournament style, right? I would imagine.
Yes.
Like we do most of the year. So I would imagine the Sixers to be up there. I actually want to see them go up against the Knicks. I don't know if you saw the game right before with Quickly and Toppin. So that'd be a fun game to watch in the summer league. But yeah, 8 across the board. They look phenomenal.
I don't know, man. I worked till 4. I jumped on here for a watch party, and then I saw a stat line saying Trey Murphy had 26 points.
Did he? Oh, man.
Oh, that's my guy. 26 for New Orleans.
You know who did not have 26 points tonight? Tyrell Terry.
Tyrell Terry. I think he had 20, but oof.
Did he? He get 20?
He actually, that was like the most fraud points you could have. He had 22 points on 8 of 16 from the floor, but impacted the game this much. Like he was not even in the game.
And it's crazy to think that Maxey went only like 10 slots higher. I mean, these guys are in completely different planets. Maxey just took his manhood on the court tonight, man. It was not pretty for Terry.
No question about it. All right. I would grade this an A+. I mean, I'm old school. When you're talking about a team led by defense, I'm of that Jim Johnson mold. This was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun during our watch party. It was almost like borderline comical, like steal, like on every single defensive possession for the Sixers, generating defense to offense, just points off turnovers, tons of fun. You know, what did the Sixers shoot from three? They shot 10 of 26, 38%. That's fine. But I think they can even do better than that, given what's on this roster, especially with Paul Reed and especially with Isaiah Joe, who kind of cooled off. I think he can even do better, to be honest, moving forward. So that is our post-game show. Make sure you follow my man Tiago on Twitter at tscabia. Check out all of his content at thepaintlines.com. If you guys are new to this channel, be sure to smash that like. Be sure to subscribe. Tons and tons of Sixers and Summer League content coming. Believe me, guys, the grind is real. We've already got, 7 highlight reels on our channel from yesterday's Summer League of guys, and that is just going to keep piling and piling and piling as we roll forward with the Summer League and especially with the Sixers. So that's what I'm doing, Tiago. I'm going to go upstairs. I'm going to go make a drink, and I'm going to make some highlight reels. So that's
yeah. Well, I turned on this morning. I had like Jalen Green highlight reels coming from.
Dude, he looked
awesome though. I didn't get a chance to watch Summer League this week, and I got caught up on all those awesome videos.
I watched it all day yesterday. It was so much
Did
fun.
you? Awesome.
All day. So, guys, thank you everybody for watching again. Please be sure to follow Tiago on Twitter at tscabia. I am Mr. Crockpot on Twitter. Stay awesome. See you.